But fellas, to kind of go back to Jim Harbaugh, the DJ Chark stuff. He's another wide receiver signed. Tyler Boyd still available. There's some other. Hey, Zay Jones. Still available.
Isaiah Hodgins.
What is up with you and Isaiah Hodgins?
I mean, he does love him, dude.
Fellas, do we not remember the Giants playoff run? Do we not?
You're living on one stretch of football.
No. I'm living off of one season. That's fine. He needs to be your wide receiver 5. Like,
so you're pounding the table for a wide receiver 5.
Give me Isaiah Hodgins.
What do we want? Do we want a wide receiver 2? Do we want a wide receiver 3?
I mean, hey, ask Boone. He might think he can get a wide receiver 2, maybe 3.
Zay Jones, Tyler Boyd.
Somebody. So if either Amon-Ra St. Brown has missed a game the last 2 seasons with a concussion every year, and I'm not mad at it. It's just the way he plays. He tries to get that yak, so that's going to give you extra hits. Jamison Williams, injury-prone wide receiver. DPJ, he's been injury-prone a little bit, just you don't know what you're going to get out of him. Khalif Raymond coming off an injury. There's going to be an injury in this wide receiver room. So I just want a guy that's been shown he can do it in the NFL and can play for 1 or 2 games in a spot. That's all they need. And Isaiah Hodgins, when you look at him, he's a big wide receiver. He's a good route runner. And when they needed him in the Giants playoff run, he was the guy on that offense outside of Saquon that Daniel Jones went to. So he has playoff experience. And it's not like, I don't think he's a world beater, but this dude will cost you $2 million, $3 million. And he's going to be way healthier than DJ Chark will. Like, I'm happy for DJ Chark, but that's very on brand for the Chargers to go sign an injury-prone wide receiver to be hurt by week 8, and now they're at wide receiver 4 on their depth chart. That's what's going to happen. So Isaiah Hodgins, he's a better option.
I disagree. He averaged 13. Klotz, he had 200 yards in 17 games last year. He almost had 200 yards in the 2 games.
The whole wide receiver core in New York.
I don't
care
if you're as good as you're making this guy out to sound, like bounding the table to go get him. He would have done something. He had 200 yards in 17 games. He had that many yards in 2 games in the playoffs. He had a 2 game.
What did he do last year?
The year before. Klotzy, he had 300 yards the year before the whole season?
Look.
Dude. Whoa.
Go look.
Yeah, I did just look. He had 300 yards.
And the year before that, because maybe I'm confusing it.
The year before that, he had 41 yards. I don't know what he literally had a 2-game stretch in the playoffs.
Maybe it was just in the playoff games.
He had a 2-game stretch in the playoffs where I think he combined both games. I think, and let me pull it up here because so I can get you an
Coach Walk,
he pulled up. He had 100 yards in 2 games. He had 100 yards in 2 games in the playoffs, and everyone went nuts. Oh, my gosh. He had like a couple big catches, which, all right, 100 yards in 2 games. He had 9 catches in 2 games. That was great. But, like, we're acting like he went out there and had 150 yards every playoff game during a playoff run.
Booner, I just said he'll be your wide receiver 5.
I would rather let Antoine Green develop and be your wide receiver 5 than have bring him in.
Another guy.
Yes, Jeff.
I
said that.
Another guy.
Yes, Jeff. I said
Antoine Green.
I said that, Jeff. If you're bringing a guy in and you're spending money, go get someone who's going to be somewhat productive potentially. Go get one of these guys that are out there. Don't get Isaiah Hodgins, who's had 500 yards his whole career.
Well,
am I the only one that doesn't want any of these wide receivers? Like, I've been clamoring for a wide receiver in the draft and some through free agency, but this list of guys left, I want nothing to do to them. If we were going to address it, I would have rather have taken one of the young guys in the draft, but Zay Jones, no, I'm fine.
Gentry.
DJ Chark, no, I'm fine. None of those guys really move the needle, and DPJ is going to see increased snaps this year, and I think he's going to play his role really well. And Khalif, when he was healthy, he was really good too. And then you want J-Mo to take that next step. You still got to feed Laporta. You're still getting St. Brown those touches. So, I mean, honestly, all these wide receivers and even some of these free agents we're going to talk about, I don't want any of them.
Talk to him, Gentry. Come on, man.
Whoa, Jeff.
So if something happens in this wide receiver room injury-wise, what do you guys think Brad should do? Just go out middle of – I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but just go to the waivers and then just get depth that way.
It's a great question.
Season.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe they look to add someone through trade or something like that. But I see Coach Walk, you don't want Boyd. I do, but I don't think we're going to pay Boyd what he's asking for. And if we were going to go out inside or spend that money on a wide receiver, I would rather spend it on an X than a slot. And I know Boyd can kind of do both, but he's primarily slot and he's a great wide receiver. It's nothing against him. But if I'm going to spend money, I'm going to spend it on a need, not just to get another body in the building.
Hey,
Jeff's just happy because that's what he said yesterday, and it's not. I don't think like that's the end all. I'm with Lucas on this. Me and him might disagree on the Isaiah Hodgins thing. That's fine. I don't really care. Again, it's just having.
Now we don't care.
No, I don't care. Klotz, time out. I'm talking about. I don't care about. We're gonna argue about. Me and you both agree that we would like someone else in the building if someone goes down, if there's depth, have some competition in that room. That's the only part that I'm at, to where I don't think, like, you did lose a wide receiver with the same core you have, and you didn't add anyone to replace that wide receiver. You're just basically hoping, let's just move all these guys up the depth chart and hope that they end up being really good this year for you. That, to me, it's like you're supposed to win a Super Bowl this year. I'm going to keep saying this. This is a Super Bowl year. This isn't a year it's like, it'd be cool if we won a division. That'd be sick. No, like, you're competing for a Super Bowl with the Eagles, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Ravens. You can't put out there a half.
But
I don't think like a depth piece like Zay Jones or any of those guys immediately make them Super Bowl contenders. Like, they don't move the needle that much, and I wouldn't hate to have any of those guys. I think it would be great to add the depth in there, but like, they're not like, oh, we signed Zay Jones and we're a Super Bowl contender. Or we got you guys keep being content with divisions. Then I'll lead the Booner path.
It has nothing to do with.
I'll lead the Booner path to the Super Bowl.
Let's take a deep breath together, Boone, because we're on the same page, and that's where you lost me. Okay, I think to win a Super Bowl, if you look at the 49ers and the Eagles. If you go down their top 4 wide receivers, it's pretty much the same as the line. You can't tell me the wide receiver 5 for the Eagles or the 49ers right now. You just can't. I'm
talking about replacing Josh Reynolds.
I think that they have that. We've all talked about between Jamison Williams, DPJ, Khalif Raymond. Like, Boone, you agreed with that.
The 2 and 3, because they did that. They produced last year for you.
Let me say this, okay, Boone.
Now I'm confused.
Yeah, and I'll address it. I'll try and meet Boone somewhere in the middle, maybe, because I disagree. I don't think adding Zay Jones. Tyler Boyd, I do like, but like Mike said, I don't think it's realistic because of who the teams he's met with. He has not met with the Lions. Has he met with the Lions?
Who's that?
Tyler Boyd.
No.
Then it makes my argument.
Crazy, man. Guys that get 600 yards don't affect the team.
That's not what I'm saying, but here's what I'm going to say. You brought up the injuries. If Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down, your season's already over, man. Like, or it's not over, but it's going to be hard to overcome that. Like, Zay Jones is not like, oh, we got Zay Jones, we got depth.
I'm not talking about an Amon-Ra going down. I'm saying if DPJ does, or JMO.
But that's like,
hold on. If DPJ or JMO does, or DPJ, as much as we think that he's going to take that next step, if he doesn't take as big of a step as you think to fill that Josh Reynolds role, then what do you do?
Okay, here's the
middle of the season. If he doesn't take that step that you're wanting him to do, what do you do?
Serious question. You're talking about worst case scenario, right?
That's not worst case scenario. That is realistic.
What if he doesn't fill the Josh Reynolds role? That's
realistic. That's not worst case scenario.
No, I'll give you realistic. What if he does? Wow.
Okay, exactly. And if he does, that's great. But I'm asking the other side of it, and I'm being very realistic. What if that role doesn't get filled like we thought it would, because we didn't see it from him last year? So that's serious. That's a legit question as a fan or as a reporter to say, hey, what happens if you have all this trust in a guy like DPJ or JMO and Khalif? What happens if that void, the 600-yard void, doesn't get filled and DPJ struggles this year and you're trying to win a Super Bowl? That's a serious question.
Before you go, Lucas and Mike, and I'll give it to you. I want to ask Booner one question. What do you think JMO's going to do next year? He had 300 yards this year. What's his production look like?
I think you could see 700 to 800 yards out of him.
So that's an extra 600 yards.
I think JMO takes a step. My question is, I want to know what DPJ does. What if DPJ doesn't come out? And he might, but I'm just saying, if he doesn't, or what if one of those
600 yards extra from JMO?
Oh my gosh. Or what if one of those guys get injured or something? Then you're just sitting there going, oh, Antoine Green, 7th round pick from last year.
Injuries.
Okay, you guys just aren't listening to me. I'm listening to you.
No,
I'm hearing you out.
I'm listening to you very well. That's why I'm kind of confused now, because we were on the same page and now we're not. Josh Reynolds was a wide receiver 2 last year. Jamison Williams, the wide receiver 2 this year. If DPJ's the wide receiver 3, that would be like Khalif Raymond or even JMO last year. And I think, at the floor, out of injury, DPJ's at least getting 300 yards. At the floor, Khalif Raymond, same thing.
Dude, he's getting more than 300 yards.
I'm agreeing. I'm saying at the bare floor. Like at the bare minimum, he's getting 300. And same thing with Khalif. And if J-Mo does what we all think, and then you have the 300 at the bare floor for both those two, that's 600. Then you talk about Sam Laporta. I mean, this
how many yards is Jared Goff?
My whole thing is just like if they have Amon-Ra go down, and then they got to play a team like the Texans for a game or like a NFC North game, I'm just a little bit more comfortable if you have an extra guy in that room, even if it's a wide receiver 5.
I don't think
just
you
so you have
understand
more
what I'm
bodies
saying.
if somebody goes down in that game. It's more of like a just emergency.
What
reserve.
I'm saying is when you're sitting in Dan Campbell's office and he has that whiteboard that he opens up and he's looking at the depth chart, the magnets are up there.
Yeah.
You had the wide receiver room a month ago, and on that board was Josh Reynolds, and you have your board there, right? You have your board. You took off your second wide receiver and you threw the magnet away. He's gone. He left. Dunzo. Bye-bye. Guess what you did? You didn't upgrade the room. All you did is moved everyone up and moved Antoine Green up. That's my point, is you lost a very high-level wide receiver in that room, and all you did is pushed everyone up, and you didn't even replace you didn't even replace the bottom of Antoine Green. You didn't even do that. That's my issue, is you lost a guy in that room, and you moved everyone up and said, we're fine. We're good. No replacements.
But my thing is before you go, Jeff, we all said, especially after the NFC Championship game, that Josh Reynolds is not a guy that's irreplaceable. He's very much a player that is very nice to have, and any NFL team would like him. But when you talk about, okay, well, what's going to happen with that to Josh Reynolds moving off? You're just putting Jameson Williams there because this is Jameson Williams' first full season. He won it last year, but you didn't get that. So he even had to sit behind Josh Reynolds, and Josh Reynolds, being the veteran receiver, didn't really let J-Mo get there because he was having that trust. Yes.
Boys, fellas, you guys keep arguing the same thing to me. I think J-Mo takes a step. My issue is...
So you're arguing the wide DPJ. DPJ's the wide receiver 3. You're arguing about wide receiver 2 production, the 600 yards.
You're not...
The 600 yards came with the wide receiver 2 spot.
I know I'm not speaking to you, Boone, too, but like just a lot of people too. I think we overrate what Josh Reynolds is as a player. I think he was great for Jared Goff and whatnot, but he's eclipsed 600 yards twice in his career. He's been in the league for like 10 years. Donovan Peoples-Jones, in a terrible situation before he got injured with the Browns, did that in back-to-back seasons. So it's like, it's not like Josh Reynolds isn't replaceable. I think you give Donovan Peoples-Jones those touches, he could easily replace it. And you are thinking J-Mo's going to take that wide receiver 2 spot, excuse me, from Josh Reynolds and take that step forward. So to think that Donovan Peoples-Jones can't slot in and be a good wide receiver 3 after he's shown he can produce in way worse situations, to think he can't come and produce in this offense, top 5 in the league, is just crazy to me. Like that, we can't replace Josh Reynolds. Like he is the end all be all, like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Like it's Josh Reynolds. We need to chill on that.
He was hit that button all you want. That's the dumbest button inside. No, he was a good wide receiver for you. The only reason people negatively look at him is because he dropped 2 passes in the NFC Championship game.
Yes.
He made big plays. Let's move on from that. He made plays.
Before we move
J-Mo
on,
needs to step up.
Plays, but so did everyone on the offense.
Let's look
He's
back.
a wide receiver 2. He was a wide receiver 2 on this team. That's not like a small deal.
Here's the thing. This is where it gets interesting, guys. I'll bring this up. Look back to last year. Going into this season, you had a rookie tight end, Amon-Ra St. Brown, off 1,100 yards. J-Mo has not played, and he was out the first 6 games. Jameer is a rookie. What are we doing? And then look what happened. NFC Championship game appearance. We should have been panicking last year. But guess what? Amon-Ra St. Brown took a step. Laporta turned into a top 2 tight end. Josh Reynolds, he was solid. He filled the role. But that's my point is, yes, Booner, your argument is addition, right? We lost 1. We have to add 1. You're not taking into consideration development like we had with Amon-Ra, an extra 500 yards for him. That's how this works. You're understanding.
But you guys aren't listening to me, though. I'm not asking for them to bring on a wide receiver 2 or 3 right now.
You want to add 1 because they lost Reynolds.
It's right now. Reynolds leaves. Everyone gets pushed up now. Antoine Green's in that next man up. Now, if Antoine Green if he can take that step and be number 5 there, and he could be that, if someone goes down, he can step in games and actually produce, then okay, I will sit back and I'll say, I don't want anyone. I'm good. I'm with you guys. But to me, It's you have your top 5 guys. That's how I look at it, the wide receiver room, 5 guys. Khalif Raymond right now is your 4th, and then 5th is Antoine Green. If someone goes down, Antoine Green automatically gets pushed up into that spot to where he's going to have to produce and go out there and make some sort of plays at some point in a big game. Now, do you guys all here are going to sit here and tell me Antoine Green, you trust the 7th round pick from last year? Maybe he's developed. We don't know. But that's where my point is you get a Zay Jones. Now you have 5 guys that are legitimate dudes. And I'm not saying Zay Jones has to replace Josh Reynolds to get 600 yards. All I'm saying is now he needs to fill that void to where, hey, go out there, and if we can use you, great. And if someone goes down, now you're filling in spots, and go out there and get 300 or 400 yards, 300 yards, and kind of be that 4th, 5th option on this team in that wide receiver room. I'm not saying go out and get a Tyler Boyd to fill the role of Josh Reynolds or anything. No, what I'm saying is you lost a big time receiver in your room. You didn't replace him with anyone besides pushing the depth chart up, and now Antoine Green is part of that. The depth side of that is the issue, in my opinion. And I wouldn't be shocked if Brad, with cuts come around, or even with the free agents currently right now, if Brad looks at it and goes, yeah, let's try and get some competition in this room, because if we are one injury away from being in a situation to where a 7th round rookie coming off this year that didn't do anything is going to have to step in and be that guy. That is my point. I don't really care about, I think J-Mo and DPJ are going to go out there and ball out. I know that because you have so many weapons there. I never said they didn't. Every time I talk about this, you boys are like, breaking down DPJ and J-Mo to me and like how they're going to replace the yards. I get that. What I'm saying is if one of those guys goes down, now you have Antoine Green filling in. Do we all truly trust Antoine Green to do that? Maybe he will, and I'll have to step back. But I haven't seen him yet. So that's where I'm sitting there. We're in the dark on that. So maybe Brad trusts him, and I trust Brad. That's just my question. That's my kind of push back a little bit. If I had to look at this offense at all, what can we do? It's the back of that wide receiver room. Zay Jones fills that. Zay Jones fills that. He doesn't need to go in there and be your number 2 or number 3. He fills a void that you just lost someone, add someone now. That's all. I don't think that's that crazy what I'm saying. Like, I do not think that was that. Like,
no, that's
not
crazy
crazy
exactly
at
what
all.
I was saying. That's exact. But then when we all kind of went off the rails, and so I don't want to go down the rails more, is when you're like, what happens if they don't get that 600 yards that Josh Reynolds has? And that's where, like, what do we talk? Like, they're gonna get that. Just by
I hope they do. I think
don't.
they do. Even if they don't, though, then you have some other options. Okay, DPJ's struggling. Oh, now we got Zay Jones. Let's throw him up there and let's see what we can do. You can't just be like, oh, Antoine Green. Let's see what he can do. No, like.
I think Antoine Green at a wide receiver 3 spot for a couple games with a run first offense. If you got, I'm not stressing it. I'm parallel with you where it's just like just throwing any. It literally can be a jag. It can be a jag as long as it's not Chase Claypool. I'm cool with whoever.
He's already signed, so you're good. That was all you got. I love you fellas, but you got it was.
You took it down a weird path, though. Yeah. You made it very.
Honestly,
I explained.
The 600 yards part
was fair. Like I don't hate. I don't know. I look at Sam Laporta, even though he's a tight end. I look at him as wide receiver too. So like I'm a little like I believe Amon-Ra, Laporta, and J-Mo. There's 3.
I get that. He was wide receiver 2 last year over Josh Reynolds. If you're going to look at it that way, but again, you still lost. Then in that point, you still lost another weapon, and you need to find the void and need to push guys up. And if you're going to do that, you have to replace the guys in the back. Like you traded for DPJ because you felt like you needed depth, right? Like you did that at the trade deadline. Why haven't you gotten depth for losing Josh Reynolds then? If like you made that move and you traded for DPJ because you felt like you needed depth in that room, why haven't you done that yet for the back end with Josh Reynolds leaving? That's my point.
Hey, you could go out and get a Julio Jones.
I would love something like literally that. He's
like, how old is he? Like 30,
probably like 34, 35.
You guys got me fired up on a Friday night. I didn't need this tonight. I didn't need this.
Not usually like that on a Friday. I did see someone in the chat bring up Mike Thomas, obviously, formerly with the Saints.
The one they call the slant god.
You guys want Mike Thomas? Would you want to take TJ or DJ Chark?
No,
God.
I don't want either.
It's a joke, Booner, because I always used to say can't guard Mike.
No, yeah, well,
he was injured every week.
Yeah, he was.
You can't guard him when he's not on the field.
That's fair. No, I mean it's fair. I mean, you see Chase Claypool signed with the Bills.
See what you did there, Mike.
Hey,
Bills know what they're doing.
Maybe I was wrong, Lucas. They signed Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
They called him Mapletron. That is the term they use for
That's fitting. That's fitting. That's exactly what he should be called, Mapletron. Okay, because he belongs in the CFL. If you get traded from the Chicago Bears as a wide receiver and Tyler Scott takes your position, then you go to Miami and they move you to tight end for a little bit. You're
wild too.
Over with. It's a wrap. Bust.
Well, look at some of these available edges. So I'll get you guys this list. This is kind of where I want to go next with it.
I've got one on my bag too here, or my book over here.
Well, I'll show the list, Boone, and then you can give us your preferred edge here. But
list.
Bring them home.
Check this out. These are the available free agent edges and left. Look at a very familiar name. Very, he's a Charles Harris just hanging on there, just kind of hanging out.
He's there.
He's kind of just hanging.
My name's not on there.
Well, that'll make this even better. Emmanuel Agba, Yannick.
This ends not long snap, Spoon.
No, dude, I have an edge, or maybe he's it's considered.
Oh, I think you meant literally your guy.
You got Carl Lawson, Jerry Hughes, Bud Dupree, Tyus Bowser, Marquise Haynes, Rasheem Green, Marcus Golden. How old is Marcus Golden?
He's probably. I feel like if you look at it, Dupree, Marcus Golden, Shaq Lawson are probably all the same tier, and they're like probably 33 years old, all of them.
Yep, Marcus Golden is 33.
We're scraping at the bottom of the barrel here. I mean, this is where
Shaq Lawson was solid last year. For the Bills, he was okay. He wasn't like a game wrecker.
But that's honestly just debt. I mean,
who's your guy, Booner? Say it.
Why is my guy not on here? I'm so confused. Is he a free agent?
Who's your guy?
Dude, man's a dog. Hold on. Is he a free agent? He is a free agent. I mean, this man had he had 7 sacks last year.
Who is it?
From the Falcons, Calais Campbell. Bring that man to Detroit on a 1-year deal. Bring that. Why would you not for a 1-year deal? If you're like, hey, we need someone for a Super Bowl run here. He's 37. He's very old, but he had 7 sacks last year. It's 6th year before. He's going to give you production, and he's a vet in the room. He's, to me, Klotzy. I would rather probably have him on the other side of Hutch over Marcus Davenport. Like, hey, I like the piece, and I don't know why he's not on the list.
Yeah,
probably because they can consider him like an interior guy. He used to be like when he was playing with Arizona, he was like purely an edge, and he was just a monster. But then where did he go? He went to Baltimore, I think, and they moved him inside.
Yeah, he's a dog, dude. And last year he had a good year in Atlanta last year, like a pretty decent year. And Coach Walkie put like 37 years old. You only need him for a year. You only need him, sign him for a 1-year deal, like $6 million, $8 million, whatever he wants, 1-year deal. And then next year you can address the edge even deeper in the draft class or in free agency, and you can kind of move on from there. But like right now, you just need someone on the other side of Hutch and more like a rotation of guys. That's a guy there that can. I would take him over Marcus Davenport. And if you have them both with James Houston, I think that's a great. Seems like the people are loving it too. By the way, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I like him more than a lot of people on that list besides Yannick Ngakoue. But, I mean, I don't think you would have to pay Calais Campbell much of anything. So if he's, like you said, he's slotting in there with Davenport and James Houston from time to time, and he brings that energy and get a couple sacks, I wouldn't hate it just because you wouldn't have to pay him that much. But just like the wide receiver list, I'm not really a fan of, any of those guys. But Yannick, I can make a case for him, I guess. Lucas?
Yeah, Lucas, what do you think? I mean, I like Yannick, man. I'm not going
to. I like Yannick too, but the thing is, he's so bad against the run. Like Brad's going to have no interest. I think if there's 2 guys, and even 3, I think Bud Dupree's an ideal fit for the Lions because he's great against the run, and he was solid with Atlanta when he was with Calais Campbell too. He's not a game wrecker, but even when his time in Pittsburgh, he was very solid. So he's a veteran in there. We already talked about Shaq Lawson. Carl Lawson's another one, though. I really like Carl Lawson just because he's a scheme fit. He's just exactly like Bud Dupree, but he's a little bit younger. And then the other one that's kind of enticing is Emmanuel Agba, but he's one of those guys that you're always going off the ceiling, and he always has a nice start to the season, and then he's hurt. But that's Brad's forte, so maybe they bring him in. But I think if there were 2 guys that would be most ideal, I'm with Boone, Calais Campbell, another one for me. I would probably go with Shaq Lawson.
And here's the thing, too. Emmanuel Agba, not great against the run, too. Some of these guys are situational pass. Like those guys, 3rd down, you put them out there, get after the quarterback. Kind of have that in James Houston. So, I mean, I get it. Yannick, he's had some great years too, and he's not like riddled with injuries. And he's not old. So, but Calais Campbell, that's a culture fit. Culture fit.
It is. Wasn't that a conversation? Was he someone in the conversation at the trade deadline or last offseason as well?
Offseason. He visited with the Lions and then he ended up signing with the Falcons.
Okay, so he's already visited. He's very familiar. I haven't seen if he's visited with anyone or kind of that, but I would love that. Would be I would be fine with the edge room if he joined. I would be content with it.
Do we all agree they would probably they're more likely to sign a wide receiver than to sign one of these edges?
I would hope it's an edge more than a wide receiver.
I don't know.
I personally, I don't know.
Just by the way they went and like they didn't address really edge and obviously they didn't address it in the draft, and then they kind of fill it with Davenport, and I think they have high expectations for James Houston, and rightfully so. I think if he stays healthy, he'll play well. I just think if they're going to sign someone, it is going to be a wide receiver, even though I've been clamoring for edge. That's just my opinion on it.
I mean, what do they do? I don't know. But if you're asking what I would do, the argument we were making for the wide receiver room as far as depth is even more severe with the edge room, in my opinion. We talk about Marcus Davenport, the injury concerns that we could have with Jamison Williams possibly. Go look at Marcus Davenport. The man has not been able to play more than 8 games over the last 3 seasons.
So a lot of sacks, though.
No, over the last 3 seasons, there's not been. But either way, besides the point, if he goes down, then you have James Houston out there, the rotation, and John Kaminsky. John Kaminsky, I'm not so worried about his injuries, but when you look at James Houston, if he has to be out there every down, he's a liability against the run for the most part, and he's another player with injury concerns. So if something happens to him, now you got John Kaminsky in. Call up Betts from the practice squad and bring him up, and then you got to – that's hell to me. That is hell. Give me a defensive end, even if it's a Shaq Lawson, Carl Lawson, Calais Campbell. That's more important, in my opinion, than a wide receiver 5, a possible defensive end 2 or 3. Because at some point, I think Davenport or Houston will probably go down at some point, knock on wood.
They got Matty Betts, Boone.
As the wide receiver guru of today's show.
Oh, my God.
I will say the Detroit Lions, I would rather have them sign a defensive edge.
There we go.
I've been going. I've been very, very vocal as well about this edge room. And I remember when we were doing the Saturday draft and everything, I was like, oh, let's get an edge. Let's get one of these. Let's get Austin Booker. Let's get someone.
Yeah.
And they just weren't doing it. And even when we got off and did a post draft, I said over a wide receiver, I said I was kind of disappointed. I wish we would have gotten an edge. But so I would rather have them go get a Calais Campbell and say that let's do that. I'd rather have that than I would rather have them get that edge than a wide receiver. But I'm going to say this: I don't know what the cap space is looking like. I guess we can figure that out. I would just with the rookies, I know they're going to have to pay different. You're going to have to make some adjustments with that. I'm interested to see how much is left because I wouldn't be shocked if Brad brought like two or three new guys in. If he ended up actually getting some depth in the wide receiver room, getting like a cheap edge, and then as well potentially, don't be shocked if he gets like a safety. Don't be shocked.
Yeah, they got hockey. You see that highlight I posted today, Boone, on my Twitter?
I did. I don't know if he's gonna how much safety he's gonna be playing though. I think he's gonna be that running back.
Yeah, he does. He can hit, man.
He can. I just have a feeling he's gonna be more so offensive.
I'm with Apollo, man, with my guy. He says, I bet we trade for a D on this trade deadline. That's kind of been kind of my take. Now that they didn't address it in the draft, it's like, well, here comes one at the deadline. That would be the position, boys. I mean, let's be real. Unless, something happens to a significant player where you need to trade. But I think it should be defensive end. There always is. Chase Young got traded. Montez Sweat got traded. I know it was with one team, the Commanders, but there always will be a player on a contract year. Yep. Maybe the Jets don't have the success we thought. Hassan Reddick, contract year, boom, go get him. There's always ways.